This is the second part of my unraveling popular wellness trends and alternative treatments. Today, we're taking a closer look at other 5 trending wellness practices that have been making waves lately. One of them isn't just some internet fad, it's a full-blown industry making hundreds of millions every year. But here's the twist. It might not be as effective or as safe as you think. There's a lot more coming up, so make sure you subscribe. Let's jump right in. Number 6, the magical ab belts that promise a six-pack while you sit on the couch. Ah yes, the legendary ab belts. There are 2 main types. One is basically a glorified sauna wrap that makes your stomach sweat like crazy, and the other is a high-tech belt that zaps your abs with little electric pulses, mimicking muscle contractions. The dream? Strap it on, lounge around, and peel it off hours later to reveal shredded abs. Tempting, right? Sadly, reality hits different. I hate to break it to you, but no amount of vibrating, shocking, or sweating from a belt is going to melt away belly fat. That electrical stimulation, it might make your muscles twitch a bit, but it's nowhere near the same as actual movement or resistance training. And that sauna-style sweat belt, all you're losing is water weight temporarily. The fat's still hanging out completely unbothered. The real issue is visceral fat, that deeper internal fat around your organs, and no belt is going to touch that. The only proven way to burn it is through consistent dietary changes and real movement. Sure, there are ways to tone up the area, strength training, core work, maybe even some fascial stretching, but you've got to actually do something. There's no shortcut around that. Write in the comments, how often do you exercise? So unless you just like the feeling of your stomach getting zapped while you watch TV, you might want to save your money and hit the mat instead. Number 7, the blood type diet, a theory that doesn't quite stick. Let's talk about the eat right for your type idea, aka the blood type diet. There's little to no credible science backing the idea that your blood type determines what foods you should eat. The theory claims, for example, that type O individuals thrive on high-protein, low-carb diets, while type A folks should stick to plant-based meals and avoid red meat and dairy. It all sounds custom-tailored until you realize it's not based on digestive science at all. Here's what blood types do affect: your immune system. They have nothing to do with how you metabolize broccoli, steak, or bread. So why do some people swear this diet worked for them? Simple. Regardless of blood type, all the plans steer you away from processed junk and toward whole, nutrient-dense foods. If you go from eating fast food and sugar every day to eating clean, whole meals, even if it's under the banner of a gimmicky diet, you're going to feel better. But that's not magic. That's just nutrition 101. So don't stress over whether your blood is A, B, or O. Focus on real food, and you'll be on the right track. No label required. Number 8. EMF blockers, the magical stickers that don't block anything. Let's talk about EMFs, those invisible electromagnetic fields coming off your phone, Wi-Fi, and pretty much every modern electronic device. And right along with the concern comes the so-called solution, EMF blocker stickers. You've probably seen them, tiny patches you slap on the back of your phone, supposedly protecting you from radiation. I actually ran this one by someone who really knows the science, a physicist friend of mine. His reaction? He laughed, not out of disrespect, but because the idea that a paper-thin sticker could somehow absorb, block, or neutralize electromagnetic fields is just not how physics works. If you really wanted to block EMFs, you'd need to wrap your entire phone in something like go full tinfoil burrito. But of course, if you do that, guess what else gets blocked? Your signal. No Wi-Fi, no calls, no texts. Basically, it defeats the purpose of owning a phone. Look, it's fine to be cautious about EMF exposure, but be cautious with your wallet too. These stickers are more about placebo than protection. Number 9, carb blockers. Because who needs willpower, right? You've probably seen those flashy labels. Triple action carb blocker. The promise? Eat your pasta, crush a baguette, maybe chase it with a donut, and still lose weight. Sounds like a dream. Unfortunately, it's more like a marketing fairy tale. The main ingredient in these carb blockers is usually an extract from white kidney beans. Yes, it can mildly inhibit the enzyme that breaks down starch. Not sugar, not oils, just complex carbohydrates like those found in bread and pasta. But let's be real, it's only partially effective. At best, you're looking at maybe a 2% reduction in starch absorption. That's barely a dent in your cinnamon roll. And that small bit of starch that doesn't get broken down, it doesn't just disappear. It continues its journey into your lower digestive tract, where your gut microbes pick up the slack. And guess what? When they feast on those leftover carbs, they create gas. Hello, bloating, cramping, and regret. Could you just take more of the supplement to block more carbs? Sure. If you want to empty your wallet and down a whole bottle every meal, you might be able to partially digest the starch in one donut that way, maybe, but it's still wouldn't do a thing about the sugar or the inflammatory seed oils you're consuming alongside it. Bottom line, using carb blockers so you can eat like a bakery burglar isn't a weight loss strategy. It's an expensive science experiment with side effects. What do you think about carb blockers? Have you ever tried one? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Number 10, the big one, psychiatric meds and the serotonin myth. Let's wrap this list up with something a bit more serious and controversial. For years, the dominant theory around depression was that it came from a chemical imbalance, specifically a deficiency in serotonin. That's the basis behind the prescription of countless antidepressants. I used to believe it too. It sounded scientific, logical, clean. But here's the thing, that theory has been widely debunked. The research just doesn't back it anymore. And yet, millions are still being prescribed these medications, not based on proven biological facts, but on a theory that never held water. What's worse, the actual effectiveness of many of these drugs barely edges out a placebo. In several studies, the difference between the medication and a sugar pill was minimal, and in some cases, non-existent. Now, some people argue, well, if it feels like it's working, who cares? And sure, placebo power is real, but that's only one side of the coin. These medications often come with serious emotional side effects, numbness, increased anxiety, even worsened depression. Many people report feeling like a shell of themselves, emotionally flatlined. You're not sad anymore, but you're not anything, just disconnected. And here's the part no one likes to talk about. Once you start, it's not easy to stop. Within just a couple of weeks, your body can become dependent. These medications weren't designed as a short-term reset. They're often prescribed indefinitely without a clear exit plan. And then dependency sets. And once you're on these meds, stepping off isn't as easy as it sounds. And what makes it worse is that throughout the entire process, no one is looking at your diet, lifestyle, sleep, gut health, or underlying nutrient deficiencies. It's just pills for symptoms. That's it. And here's the irony. Many psychiatrists are quick to dismiss natural alternatives or nutritional approaches as unscientific, yet have no issue recommending a treatment plan based on a theory that's already been disproven. But let's talk about something even more controversial, ECT, or electroconvulsive therapy. Yes, it's still happening. Some doctors call it safe and effective, yet can't fully explain why it might create temporary improvements in mood, temporary being the keyword. They also tend to gloss over the long-term risks, memory loss, cognitive fog, emotional flatness, and often the depression returns. Even more disturbing, there have been documented cases of ECT being used without proper consent, sometimes even on terminally ill patients in hospice care. That's not therapy, that's something else entirely. In my opinion, out of all the so-called treatments we've covered, this one takes the crown as the most questionable. And yet, unlike harmless fads like ear candling or detox pads, this one barely gets criticized in the media. Why? Because there's a lot of money on the line. Hit subscribe, tap that bell, and hang out with us again soon. We're just getting started.